All right, and we are live. Welcome. Don't mind the vacuuming. Apparently next door is getting cleaned right now. Anyway, welcome to another Wednesday live stream. We are hanging out. Dearest Flo joining me as doing her professional painter thingy. And tonight we're going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about whatever rambly thing we talk about. We're going to open with project management and organizing your projects, and then probably devolve to movie talk, because I've seen some interesting ones lately. Let's start by welcoming everyone in the chat. And of course, I always want to know what it is you guys are up to and what you're working on, whether it's hobbying or reading rule books or just relaxing. It's all fine with me. But if you hear weird noises in the other, in the around in the ambience, just know it's temporary. All right, so War Budgies, hey, thanks for joining. You got to tell us about Adepticon, man. Looks like it was a grand old time this year. Saw some of those Golden Demon prize winner or award winners before we started. Those were looking really, really cool.
Did you say Heisman?
No.
Award winners? Okay.
Golden Demon. That is what it said.
Something else I thought. Sorry.
I think I said prize winners, but then that obviously is not correct. It's an award-winning thing. Trying to be more precise with my language, and I feel like I'm only getting the opposite result. Anywho, Thomas Grable, welcome. Greetings to all my fellow gamer geeks. It is a good time to be a gamer. Paul, welcome. Thank you, as always, for being my amazing moderator.
Hi, Paul.
I learned today from Paul that in England, a broiler and a grill have inverted meanings from what they do here. So what we think of a grill
is coming from bottom heat.
Yeah,
would be
is a broiler. I don't know. Maybe there's some other British people who can. It's very weird, and I told him so. I was like, well, Englishman, you're obviously wrong, because I'm American and I know. So, yeah, we fixed that.
Our cooking's better.
Well, than English cooking, yes. I don't even know that that's subjective. Sorry. A country that had to boil everything.
I was saying, no. From personal experience, our cooking is better, so we're right.
Bet you didn't know we were getting into controversial topics tonight, guys. Anywho. Yes. Todd, welcome. What was I going to say? Todd, you're up in Colorado, right? Are you planning to do any of the Ren Fair stuff this summer? I want to go up there. We're going to go up there and check it out at some point this summer. The 8-week-long Renaissance Fair in Colorado, which sounds amazing. Revok, welcome. Let's see. War Budgies is working on, oh God, where'd my mouse go? Working on that Blood Bowl troll. Oh, nice. Plunderden, welcome. Bill's Fish, appreciate you being here. Says hello, ladies.
Hello.
Pushes shoebox of random minis under the desk. Now we're talking about project management. The first thing you've got to do is know what you actually have to work on. I would argue that that's probably the biggest bugaboo for me in our setup here.
Well, that's just because you have so many things you can be working on.
Well, and it's like, there's a lot of stuff that needs prep work, but we'll get to it. I'm finishing saying hi to everybody, but yes, it's exactly right. Like, where do you begin? Hi, Melinda. Good to see ya.
Hi.
Jake Dog, welcome. See, Bills, I'm getting near to finishing my 10mm Hittite army for War Master. Sweet. Oh, it's so good to have like an army behind you. It's why like I do adore the Grimkin, because the unpainted stuff is there's just only like a handful of things that are really unpainted, but I can always run lists of just fully painted gorgeous minis. Whereas like half my Khador, it's like I've got a lot of Khador.
There is
an embarrassment of Khador. So. And still no Doom Reavers, because who wants Doom Reavers, really? And it's still not all painted. Hey, Jay Alex, thanks for joining the chat, man. And here I thought the noise was Flo's overclocked painting skills at work. Ah, man, missed an opportunity for you to take credit for sounding like a vacuum cleaner.
I mean, 50% of the time I do, because I am using one.
Okay. Chris, welcome. Working on U.S. Marines for bolt action. Ah,
Bolt action.
good old bolt action. We're going to have an amazing bolt action campaign at Valhalla this year. And from the sound of it, we're going to have some amazing RPGs happening as well.
You say this year, every year.
Every year.
Every
it's
year.
Always. Well, yeah, but it's like you've got to hype it up every time, right? Because it's like you always...
It gets more awesome
Exactly.
every
No, there's
time.
going to be a whole extra table for bolt action this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I didn't
it's
know
genuinely expanded. It's gonna definitely be a larger gaming space this year. Like more tables, a lot more tables. So we'll talk about it later.
Huh.
I did make bronze in P3 for Underchief Meyer. Hey, congratulations, Thomas. That's awesome.
Nice.
Mechanical Frog. I love your name. Hello, hello. Welcome. Todd, working on the wrestler Traffic James from Rumble Slam? I don't know what you're talking about. Need a break from Grimkin before I start my dreadrots. You enjoyed painting the dreadrots, right? Little pumpkin heads.
I knocked out that entire box in like 2 weeks.
You were super fast. It made for a great video because the unboxing had fully painted miniatures. It was just so good. Can't stay long, but I saw live. Well, appreciate you popping by, Jake. Patrick, hey, man. He's going to be joining us at Valhalla. And I tried to guilt Kitty into going, and she was like, no, I'm an adult. I'm like, okay. As in adult responsibilities. Not that she didn't want to go, but
Are you
it
sure?
did make me sad. No, she wants to go. Obviously, she wants to hang out with me. Probably. I don't know. War Budgies. Adepticon was awesome. Played tons of Warcaster. Hung out with Thomas Greibel a bunch. I'll send you Orgoth photos in a second. Ooh, sweet. Yes, please. Brian Huss, welcome. Getting some ideas on getting my hobby projects better organized would make my wife very happy. Ooh. Well, okay, we'll see what we can do. Adeptus Ridiculous. Well, I don't know about YouTube, but I'm considering to rest my hobbies for a while. Oh. Let's see, broiler is the unused thing in the bottom of my oven. Exactly. Shots fired, dissing the English cuisine early. Yes.
Like I said, personal experience.
I do miss American food. Hey, Norn Queen, how you doing, girl? Todd, I saw you talk about the Denver Ren Fair last time. That event is awesome. I always try to go sometime. Sweet. Yeah, we'll be checking it out, I guess, for the first time. Maybe working for Michael Keaton soon. Go ahead, ask me. What? Yes? What is happening that you would be working for Michael Keaton? I need to know. He's like one of my favorite actors. He's hilarious. Now I bet, does really good improv. I feel like he probably did in the other guys, right? He probably came up with the whole TLC reference. I'm just maybe overcrediting him, but he's got great comedic timing.
He also is the best Batman.
And he was the best Batman. That's right. Let's be real. Sheka Rhubarb. Hi, working on 15mm French Indochina War Gods of Olympus and 25mm World War II. Man, so 25mm I could get around, but man, the 15mm, the 10mm models, like, are they easier to paint because technically it's all faster? One brush stroke and you kind of got it all? Or is it not? Because you have 400,000 of them to paint. How does that work? Hey, Patrick. Building a North American native log house. Well, that sounds cool. See, Nicholas, welcome. Good evening, ladies. My projects manage me more than I manage them.
I feel that's the way for most people.
There is. Like, I mean, it's kind of the line from Fight Club. The crap you own ends up owning you in a way. So we can. There's a few steps that I've thought of that might help. Let's see. I'm printing up a bunch of Necrons to use for 40K at Valhalla, painting up some of Kitty's Grimkin, and kind of doing a little this and a little that, which you do. That makes sense.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Good night, everyone. Tonight I'm priming a Titan Gladiator and a Tyrant Radian. Nice. Welcome, Kaya. Let's see. Ray got me signed up for Bolt Action. He's got some Americans for me. It'll be my first historical game. Bolt Action, I think, is a great historical game to jump into. Between Bolt Action and Dust, like, they're both Bolt Action's definitely more accurate, probably. Both, whereas Dust is a lot more anachronistic, since
I
you have
mean,
like
you
a
know,
Cthulhu
Cthulhu faction.
Yeah. Marginally more fantastical, and I just
Marginal.
love the aesthetic of it,
Well,
though.
it's different for bolt action, right? Don't they have a is it Conflict 47?
Yes, Conflict 47 is their upside down world of it, I guess. Their more fantastical stuff. That's true.
Because bolt action is supposed to be straight up historical, isn't it?
Yes. I think both, yeah, it's pretty straight up historical as far as I understand. Let's see. Patrick, Kitty wants to go so bad. I keep trying to convince her to drop the boys off at mom's. She's worried a week may be a little too long. Well, I understand.
You can fly back early or I'll take her to the airport.
That's true. We could always drive her to the airport if she needs to leave early. She can just be there for a few days. Just a little taste. Just give her a little taste. I don't know. She's super sweet, and I love seeing you guys. And I lost my mouse again, because holy cow. So chatty, guys. I appreciate that. Let's see. Tossed a couple of photos in Messenger. I will have to check it out at the end. Hey, Jeremy.
Yo.
It's funny. Jeremy posted on Facebook some like bizarrely nice comment about somebody. And the only replies were, "Who's this? Who hacked your account?" Which was exactly my first thought too. But I miss you, man. Mechanical Frog, love the blue and black Tau scheme. Yeah, so I don't know what sept or whatever, if that's supposed to be of a specific sept. Do you know if that's applicable here?
I don't think so. I think DJ just really likes those colors.
They do work really well. They pop a lot. Like high contrast works so well with the Tau models because of that sci-fi look they've got, that clean sci-fi look, I should say. Let's see. My bucket list is still the Thunderhawk. Let's see. Cathanalane? I just wanted to say hello. It's Robert, to Flo. It's Robert from Phoenix.
I was like, wait, the moment she said the name that time, I was like, wait, I know that name. Hi! Long time no see or chat or anything.
Well, hello, Robert. Thanks for popping in. Let's see, Keaton was the best Batman. That's right. Oh, I love all the support in this chat. Yes. Just keep working on your aim. Let's see. Oh, I kind of said that I'll be moving to the States from Canada, right? Oh, no. That's awesome. Let's see, 15 millimeter are snapped due to the tiny amount of surface area. That's what I would think. And I assume you have to kind of strip down the amount of detail you're trying to put into individual models because they either don't have it or your paint's going to fill it all up. I wonder if that lends really well to airbrushing too. Working on Down Under Blender, working on Mecha for Steel Rift at the moment. Also, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. You too. Hanging in there, surviving. Let's see. Well, as the story goes, one of the building envelope engineering companies sponsored by the one and only Michael Keaton. Oh. One of the building envelope engineering companies. Wow. Well, that sounds like kind of a big deal. See, bolt action is surprisingly easy to learn. Yeah, I agree. I enjoy the turn counter or the turn setup where you pull the dice out of the bag, and it's got a casual historical feel to it. I think it's probably its biggest strength because usually when you think of a historical war game, you're imagining charts that are determining, for determining like mortar ranges with what?
MBT.
MBT, there you go. And it's just, it seems like it's the extra nerdy level of wargaming, and there's fewer people, like the further down you go, less people who explore it. And so bolt action seems like the most accessible version of that, I guess, because they have these really cool looking models. It's still the larger scale, and then yeah, the rules are very easy to grasp. And I'm sure like most historical games are too, but like for me, it's just this perception that it's a lot more layers of work. Let's see, the smallest scale I ever painted was 6 millimeter for Epic 40K. I didn't know Epic went down that low. Dang. Let's see, and maybe I will introduce you with 40K and War Machine. Hey Andrew, welcome. Let's see, down under. But to drop back into my next lecture, I just wanted to stop and smash that like button. Thank you, down under. Appreciate it. Jeremy, so I left my phone in my boss's car when she dropped me off, and she made that post on Facebook. I knew it! I knew it! I mean, I just have a good sense of your personality. Chuckaroo, I remember Bolt Action's nickname is 1940K. If you like GW, you'll probably like it. That's kind of clever, actually. 3D printing certainly makes it hard to manage those projects. Well, we can
That's
also
because
speak to some of that.
Yeah,
You start getting
printing more and more, and then nothing gets built anymore because it's easier to print.
Yeah, it doesn't beat you over the head with a history book. Exactly. J. Alex, I'm doing boring adulting stuff tonight, scanning receipts toward my budgeting report. Reminder for Americans in the chat, tax day is 1 week from Monday. Thank God for my CPA. I just would not know what to do. It's worth it every time. Like, here's this pile of stuff. Bye. Which usually I do by email because obviously. Yeah, anyway. Jeremy was the imposter. Nicely done. Nice Among Us reference there, Orveggies. He's a little sus right now. I'm going to get my first 3D printer soon. Oh, so Alexis, are you getting the resin printer or a filament printer? I'm assuming resin, because you're probably going to be printing miniatures, unless you're doing terrain. What are you going to be doing? So we have the filament printers, which are for more of the large scale at home, and then she's got 4 resin printers now?
One of them's broken, so 3.
Oh, when did that happen?
DJ.
I didn't say who.
That's what you're getting from it.
One, both. Oh, okay. Well, that gives you all the options, right? And it seems like the 3D printers, the resin ones have even gotten cheaper and cheaper. You're spending $200 to $400, I think, for a really good one now.
Yeah, they're still fairly cheap.
One for props, the other for models. Okay, so word about the filament printers. They do make for excellent prototyping, and we've made plenty of props with them. But man, you've got to sand that stuff down and glazing.
Brass threaded inserts.
Brass threaded inserts are highly recommended with a soldering. To use a soldering pin to basically melt it into the plastic so you can connect things that way, which is really good for costuming. What is the brand of glazing putty that we use?
Oh, it's Bondo.
Bondo glazing putty is amazing for filling in all of those mold lines because you're always going to see those lines.
And it's cheap, and you don't have to mix 2 parts.
Yeah. So it's just out of a tube, and so you don't have to mix anything. You just put it on, you smooth it over, you sand it, and it gives you a beautiful finish. So if you are needing something where you don't want those mold lines showing, definitely do that. You can also just use the aggregate method of just putting heavy textures over it.
Her icon.
Yeah, that Imperial icon we sent you, the Imperial, yes, that was totally 3D printed, and then we made a resin cast out of it. Yeah.
But it was
it was highly refined with
the glazing putty that I used to smooth that, so she can look at the sides of it and see.
Oh yeah. So you can check out the sides of it because it's going to be basically a replica of what we did. So that was 3D printed and then smoothed out with the glazing putty.
And then cast.
Let's see. War budgies. When did it happen? DJ. How did it happen? DJ. Aw, poor DJ getting blamed for everything. I mean, I guess if it's true, it's true. Jeremy, I am looking at a new filament printer. Not sure what to go with right now. I mean, we've enjoyed our Creality. I know that, people have had different results from that. The big trick is just making, we did upgrade some of the parts. We upgraded the little feeding tube and the feeder.
We always have to replace nozzles over time.
Yeah, okay, so the nozzles get replaced over time, but sure. So, and I think one of the big tricks is as long as you can get the bed even, then you generally don't have any issues because it seems like every issue that comes up with the Creality is from the bed being uneven. Just slightly is all it takes. You got to be kind of a perfectionist there. In all fairness, I know it from the memes. So good evening, Paul. Thanks for providing us a place to chat. Oh, is Paul enforcing some some moderator privileges there? Patty, I have some prints that I'll finish any minute now. A robot legion bike and some warriors. Alex says, I'll see if I can get it here. So many things you can't get in Iceland. Oh, like just cargo doesn't ship in there? Is it tariffs? Is it like restrictions and customs? Or is it just too, I don't know, small for them to get a lot of shipments? Like you get a shipment once a month or something? I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. All right. So it looks like the file I want to print is corrupt. Oh no. Well, there's always that risk. I'm finishing up BattleTech models for my local campaign, and I still have a pile of miscellaneous battle mechs and storage boxes, and I know I'll buy more. At least I'm honest. That is true. Let's see. Well, on the fence for a good filament printer myself. I heard the Creality 3 is the best one so far. We'll see. Thanks for the encouragement for filament. I mean, they're both very useful, but they both have just different uses. So if you can have one of each, it's ideal. Bondo is very durable as well. Yes, L. Martin, 100%. Patty, speaking of more Valhalla goodness, Scotty posted on his Facebook that he'll be showing his Easy D6 RPG this year. I know, and he'll be doing it at our event, which is going to be super, super cool. He's been chatting with me about it, and apparently he's been working on that Easy D6 system for like 10 years, which, by the way, is also the 10-year anniversary of his channel. It's also the 10-year anniversary of our channel, which I mentioned on the last live stream. So our channels are the same age. We're channel siblings. Whatever. Anyway, that's how it works, right? Totally. Let's see. You ever play any spaceship tabletop games like Battlefleet Gothic or Grand Fleet Admiral? I have not. I've watched Battlefleet Gothic, and I own the video game, but as cool as all of that looks, it's one of those that I don't know when I'd get around to it. I mean, even just making time for 40K, which we only just started playing a few games this last month, finally. It just takes so much to prepare for, which is probably a decent segue into this project management discussion that I did want to bring up, and I even did it before a whole half hour had passed. So, managing this live stream so well. With something like 40K, it's not like you just buy miniatures and you can play the game. You really do need a space to play on. And, you know, a battle mat is always super nice. It's a bit of the luxury part of it, because you don't technically need a battle mat. It just makes things a lot prettier. But you definitely need terrain. And so we've been not only just painting up my poor Imperial Guard list that, oh my gosh, side note, the memes I have seen online about people who are so salty about squats coming out before Imperial Guard get a codex is kind of hilarious. And yeah, even my friend, he was like, why are you starting Imperial Guard? You know they're like the worst faction right now. I'm like, but, if we're the last ones to get a codex, we get the best codex! And then the new edition gets announced. Anyway, so, side note, yes. So you can't just have your miniatures and even just a mat. Like the amount of terrain that we've had to put together and paint, which is coming together beautifully, by the way. You will see that if you follow Warboss Doug. He came through and he played a game against me of his orcs versus my Imperial Guard. And so that was our terrain that we had on his mat, which was super fun. But just getting to that amount of prep. What's that?
Less brutal than you against DJ with it.
Oh yeah, no, brutal just, oh god, that stupid Tau wiped the floor with me. But, that's just how it goes. But yeah, so it's like, there's the type of terrain. We had orc terrain for that, which was appropriate. But then like Imperial Guard versus Tau over orc terrain it's not quite as, like you make up some reason for it, you could do it. But we have lots of terrain, it's just not put together. And step one to doing that, I have found, is just finding your stuff. Like, there's prep work, but then there's like this pre-prep work idea where you just have to know what it is you need to work on so that you even know, can identify what all even needs to be organized and completed. Because we'll come across situations where we're like, oh, we're going to create this thing, and we either didn't have as much terrain as we thought, we didn't have as much of whatever that item was, or there was some accessory piece that we actually had to order and we hadn't done that yet, and so the project couldn't even start because we didn't have all the prep work, the pre-prep work ready to get it done. And I guess you follow that with like making miniature or painting a miniature, right? It's not like you pull the miniature off the sprue and start painting it. You've got to
assemble it to make sure you have the correct pieces together, and then on top of that you also have to worry about mold lines and filling in any gaps that are there. So you're prepping that before you can even get to the painting process. Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got to like understand how many steps there are, and it's always fun to imagine like just jumping into painting and being able to do that, which to me, now that I've grown more of an appreciation for painting, but I mean for anybody who wants to paint their miniatures, like that's kind of the fun part, whereas all the prep work might not so much be. Let me catch up with some of the chat here before I get lost. My very first game ever was Full Thrust. I don't even know that one. Full Thrust? Patty, oof, yeah, games take forever to write if you love it. It's also kind of hard to share them because of feeling silly. Yeah, Star Wars Armada is a good game. I remember when that launched. We were at Adepticon the year that one, I think it was Adepticon the year that one launched, because they have the 3-foot by 6-foot mats, which but if I'm thinking of that right, or am I thinking of Star Wars Legion?
Legions.
I'm thinking of Legion. Okay, yeah, I didn't play Armada then.
Armada is like X-Wing, but like a different scale. Is that right?
Is Armada like X-Wing, but a different scale? I enjoyed X-Wing. I played that one, but it's almost like it's all skirmishy at the level I was playing, and so I don't think of it as like a big space game. Trouble is, the logic checks out. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Hey, Bruska, let's see. Board budgies, nope. I'll tear it off the sprues, throw it in a giant pile, put the pin on a can of spray, and paint the frag out. Excellent. Well, I mean, you've seen War Budgie's videos. I'm pretty sure he could just stare at the model and it'll clean itself up and then he just gets it painted. Or he might yell at it to make it paint itself. Let's see, Patty. Hey, Mandragora, thanks for joining. Terrain for different scales, 25 millimeter, 15 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and so on. Yeah, and that's the other thing, like kind of for that reason, I try to stick within the same scaling for my games because it just feels like you kind of have to start over with everything if you have a smaller scale. If it wasn't for the prep work, I'd do no work at all. Hey, Joel, welcome to the chat. We're just hanging out talking about project management and how to chop it up into super manageable pieces. And maybe I can take my own advice. We'll see. Armada is fleet level, so bigger, I guess. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I was thinking I should paint recently. My first stage has to be picking the unpainted from next to the painted on the display and then dust them all clean. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Canned air is pretty good for that, as long as you have them anchored down. Let's see. That table sounds cool. Let's see. How's that Goro coming? Yeah, honey.
I'll let you know when I get it.
I told Joel I'm still standing on.
That's true. So, we'll talk a little bit about the Goro because it is a project, right? Yes. And so Joel, our dear friend over at Media Glitch, which is our video game channel, if you ever check that out, super fun. He's got this Goro, freaking 13-inch tall Goro that was 3D, that was printed on a filament printer. And it has a lot of lines which you can very obviously see. And so right now it's just it's black filament, so it's just this shiny, tall model, right? Well, in order to paint it up, because black is obviously a shadow, you really would need to we need to fill in the gaps, at least enough so that the paint can sit on it and look reasonably normal and not like you've painted spaghetti or something, right? Like you need to make sure that it's smooth enough. So before we can even paint that, it needs to have a filler put in there, which the Bondo filler putty, what was I calling it? Glazing putty, is really remarkable stuff. Highly recommend that one. But you still have to kind of work that, and you have to sand it all. And once you've gotten it smooth enough, then you can prime it, and that's when the painting starts. So it is like a whole process if you want to do it right. But for how many hours you put into painting, like you don't want to do that on something that was not prepped right, because it's almost like a waste of, it kind of undermines your work. Not necessarily waste all your time, but it does undermine like your talent if the base is not like nice enough to support the work you're putting into it. So that's my argument there. Revok, as a kid, I refused to do any prep work for model kits I was building. I hated and still think it sucks today. Yep, that was basically me as a kid too. I was horribly impatient and just wanted to do the fun parts, and admittedly, even because I also like to sew, and that has about 400 steps you have to do before you can actually like do the sewing part. And so it's always the same way. But at the same time, you know, as you get older, or just depending on your taste, like if you want something to look nice, it really needs all that prep work. You just don't get around it. Let's see, Thomas. 15 millimeter scale is the best because it's still detailed models, but the scale of the games and table feels better, and ranges feel a bit more realistic. Oh yeah, I could see that, like shooting ranges and stuff on a 15 mil. That does make sense. Mandragora, you think you can just brush them clean quickly with fingers and get started, but then you realize you got a Q-tip with water, then it's all big work. Oh, man, people are really feeling the topic tonight. Alec, I think years of running tournaments for War Machine forced me to keep organized terrain mat zones, but my minis, armies projects are a complete disaster. Well, so that's the difference, right, between kind of your, I don't know, external motivation of keeping stuff organized because you know people are relying on you to have terrain mats and zones all accessible and available. Plus, those are kind of easier to organize because short of the terrain, nothing needs special storage. And even the terrain, depending on how resilient it is, which is amazing when you 3D print it because you really can toss that stuff in a box and move on with your life. It just should be easier to organize. Whereas your minis and stuff, they're all your personal army, and you kind of don't necessarily make it as high priority, or you think you'll get around to it when you can, but you're really working on making sure everyone else is having this good experience with the tournament side. So you see yourself be very organized as the front face, and then like whenever it's just for you.
Off the wayside.
Yeah, so.
Which is kind of how all of my painting stuff is. I don't ever get to any of my painting projects.
Yeah. And that's always one of those things that you've just got to kind of decide what you want to do, because, you know, a lot of times you want to be nice and you just want to make sure everyone's having like a good time, and, you know, you don't want to feel like a jerk, I guess, by saying, well, I could help you, but really I want to work on my thing tonight. But at the same time, you do kind of have to do that sometimes. Like, it's a hobby for everyone, and that everyone kind of includes you too. So,
Step one of any project is decide what your project is.
Ah, yes. Proper identification. Step one is a good point. What is the goal?
What do you need? Are you looking to make a 500-point army, a 1,000-point army? Are you looking to get a crew together? What are you trying to do? Is it terrain you're working on? What type of terrain do you need?
Yeah.
Pick out your pieces before you do anything else. And limit your pieces to a certain amount. Don't go, well, I just need a Tau army, so I'm painting all of my Tau.
Well, and that comes down to identifying what it is you need. So before
Yes.
Doug came, I had a 500-point list that I built for Imperial Guard, and I was like, well, about 1/3 of this is painted. And admittedly, I had the luxury of a team to help me. So you helped me, Tommy helped me, and we did it all in 2 days, right?
Yep.
And they looked great. You know, they looked really nice and cool getting their butts kicked, so that was fun. And but we were able to get that turnaround in a very specific, or in a very short amount of time, because the goal was specific. What is it, SMART goals or whatever? You do the specific and manageable and all that sort of thing. And also the other thing, manageable, right? Know your limits. So how do you approach it, Ms. Flo, whenever you are looking at something you don't necessarily know how you're going to paint it, or you don't know how you're going to paint it? Like it has some special challenge, like when you're learning wet blending or something fancy.
I mean, if I'm learning a new painting technique, first thing I do is go and watch videos on how to do that painting technique.
Research is very
helpful. You know, research is key to all of that stuff. Not only looking up techniques, but looking up reference pictures in accordance to what you're going to be working on. Like when I learned how to do the Necrons here, the non-metallic, basically. Like I watched so many videos on it, and the first few that I did, I ended up having to strip them and redo them because they weren't correct.
And that's definitely the difference between you and me. I don't care how bad it looks, I'm not stripping that model.
But they weren't completely built either. It was sub-assembly, so it was like one spot of it. It was like, this is just a little chest piece. It doesn't look right. Just redo that one, and it's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
You could also just straight up do it on paper.
I don't know that I would either, but
I mean, but you don't do sub-assembly stuff either. So,
very rarely.
You know, looking up the technique or looking up reference pictures to what you're trying to do. Now, you're trying to paint a horse, and you don't know how the horse's colors are going to look in the legs. Look up different horses, decide which one you like, you know?
That's right. Decide your breed. Is it a Frisian? Do you like a nice Palomino? Maybe a paint? An Appaloosa?
I won't ever look up breeds because I don't know the
Bay.
breeds. I just look up pictures of horses. I'm like, that one looks pretty. We'll go with that one.
The pretty one. Actually, that was some of my favorite models to paint was when I painted the Greylord Outriders, which are the light cavalry for Khador. And I had so much fun just painting the horses, and I did all of that. I started I made every single horse unique and different, and then I ended up getting a whole other unit of them that I also need to paint. So I'm really excited to paint horses, apparently. Like the models on top are like, yeah, you're Greylords, it's fine, but your horses.
Well, if you're looking to paint projects and you're finding yourself bogged down, that's a really good way to break it up, is to save something that you really like to do or that you'll finish really quick.
Oh, yeah.
To break it up.
No, I use that excitement as a currency constantly.
Yes.
It's always a goal thing, like, well, get this thing done and then you can do the thing you want. But do not break promises to yourself, because you remember that, turns out, and you can kill your motivation that way. So you got to keep promises to yourself if you're going to do that. Patrick, so when you're getting into or revisiting a game, what is step number 1? If your name is Jeremy, it's not reading the rules. Well, depending on the group, there might be one person who just decides to read the rules and take point on teaching people. I think that's usually where Flo gets stuck. And then somebody else might, take on another role. Because the thing is, not everyone has to approach revisiting a game exactly the same way. It's nice to read the rules. I like to read the rules. But usually when I'm learning a new game, I don't actually get the opportunity to read the rules first. It's usually shown to me, and then I get to read the rules after, which, if I can do it the other way, I do much better, but ho-hum. Kaio, how do you people manage to have several armies of several games? I can barely cope with having a single army for worm hordes. Time. I mean, you just amass it over time.
And a team.
And a team helps, but I mean, not everybody does that. I mean, there are just some painting beasts out there. I remember Sean Gailey talking about armies he'd put together. It's like, dude, I do not know where you get this energy. But yeah, having a team or having a meta. Honestly, if you can have a gaming group where you have gaming nights, but you also have hobby nights, that can kind of help from the accountability standpoint.
That's what this is for.
That is exactly what this is for. But and when we do these chats, we don't necessarily have a plan of. I mean, I don't anyway. I don't know if you do, of exactly what you're planning to paint when you get here.
I mean, I have to have some idea.
Yeah.
I have to bring the paints.
Okay, fair. So, one, again, identifying the task. So if you do have a hobby night with friends, that helps from the motivation standpoint, but you do really have to still know what it is you're working on, and maybe not get too distracted by shinies, squirrel moments where you're like, well, I could work on this, or oh, I'll work on this, because it's a really good way to get nothing done. Let's see, I did paint a giant cane. I did paint for giant cane leeches for Requiem. Giant cane leeches? Oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying. Mandragora. And then you realize you should probably organize your displays so you have everything together. And then you realize you have to rearrange your storage boxes, your shelves, your room, your house. Just buy a bigger house. What? That's the world we live in, right?
You should see my collection of yarn.
Yarn?
I have so much yarn.
Oh, I forget that you...
That I knit.
Is it knit? Okay, it's one of those. You do one of those things. Kitty knits, I think, yeah. So you guys, if she ends up coming to Valhalla for a few days.
I would have no time to knit. But I appreciate the talk.
You can talk about knitting. Let's see.
We can talk about the lack of knitting going on.
The distinct lack of knitting. Let's see. I only keep a small amount of miniatures in my painting area at a time. Helps keep me from feeling overwhelmed. Yes. Now, the problem that we tend to run into, and I don't know how much of this is a problem for anyone else, but we'll have a project, because we exist in both space and time, we will have a project on the roster to get done, say an unboxing. And that project will get pushed back due to general life things coming up, or scheduled things coming up, or impromptu out-of-town trips coming up, or whatever it is. And then a new project comes up that, again, takes priority over it. And so even though you have maybe something on the painting roster, or even in your hobby area, it might have to get moved off to work on a new thing that's arrived after, but there is a more pressing need for it to be worked on first. So that's going to come down to recognizing your losses early, be honest about, can I really do this? Do I need to work on this? It's triage, exactly. And so that can be really frustrating and keep you from feeling like you're getting much done, because you'll have a project partway done and you have to put it away for a while. And we've had to do that with lots and lots and lots of stuff, because we're such a small team and everything we work on is kind of complicated. So, what is the triangle? There's good, fast, and cheap, or something like that. Yep. So it's we're in the good, cheap area, but we're not fast. Delayed gratification is just the worst sometimes. I know, but that is usually my personal disciplinary go-to, or focus go-to, whatever. Focus, grasshopper, you can do it. Real talk, if I didn't have a channel to supply, I wouldn't have painted half of what I have. And there is definitely that. I mean, I think that at least, it's one of the few positive elements to social media, where you can keep yourself accountable to an extent by committing to posting a painted miniature a week, as dear old War Budgies has done. And in order to make sure that you maintain that agreement that you just made with the world, you make yourself prioritize to do it. And that's a really good way to get it done. You just got to make sure that whatever you are taking on is manageable, so that it can reasonably be done in a week. And then be consistent and don't burn yourself out doing it. J. Alex, shameless self-promotion. The web series episode I appeared in just launched today. Look up Offset Web Series on YouTube and look for the most recent upload called the X-Terminator episode. Yes, J. Alex is in it. And it's impressive that he wants to show so many people how he's in it. All right, Patrick, what do you got? I used to have just my hobby room organized, but then it got out of hand. Then the mess monster presides over my actual workspace. Then I take the kitchen table. Man, our freaking dining room table, it stays clean for all of a day before things have just appeared on it. It is a constant battle. And I always think, like, I always wonder about, like, the value of something like feng shui, right? Like, having things in places that help keep you really organized. That is not any situation I currently have in my house. I have another name for it. But, yeah, I understand. Plus, you have kids, and they just make a mess of everything. See, Bill, step 1, purchase the minis. Step 2, purchase paint and paint-related stuff. Step 3, purchase storage for your finished models. Step 4, begin painting your minis. Well, that's how it should happen. There's that meme of images.
Storage does not come first for me.
No.
Storage comes after. How many do I need? Okay, this is what I finished. Where am I storing them?
Yeah, there's a little more future planning than I think we typically would do for setting up the miniatures. I mean, I guess I'm in a little bit of a different boat, 'cause sometimes I'll just acquire minis from, people send me stuff, and I'll want to get to them. Again, I would love to finish my Khador army somewhere, sometime, someday, but I don't know. Like, I reasonably don't know when that can happen. And so it's like, well, that'll be like a treat I can do at some point in the future. But even before I could approach that, I would need to look at my miniatures and identify them and figure out, do I want to finish the mostly painted stuff, or do I want to start new stuff so I have more mostly finished stuff, which is kind of what most of my Khador army is. But if I'm finishing stuff, it's like,
if you never finish stuff, you never feel the gratification.
So I think you and I have a little bit of a different demeanor regarding that.
Like finishing a battle report is the gratification.
Yeah, finishing a battle report is way more gratifying. But I mean, this sounds terrible, but I can kind of hit a certain point in a project where I'm like, well, it's done. I'm going to call it good enough. And I hit that with miniatures, where I'll be excited about one aspect of it, like painting horses or whatever. And then, you get more details on of like dry brushing or getting your highlights on there. But then after a certain point, I might say, oh, well, this part needs to get cleaned up. Oh, there's some paint overspill here. I'll be like, but I'm done. And I'm done with this now. Moving on. And I'll just shut it off, even though I know. And so, gosh, my poor mana war have sat in base coats for years at this point. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are fine. Perform better on the table, and I'll think about it. I anthropomorphize everything in my life as well, so, I always make it this attitude problem, I don't know. I blame the minis. Let's see, the first step is admitting you have a problem. Well, you have to identify and recognize you even have a problem. Do you? Do you have miniatures for games you don't play and have no intention of playing? Because that might be more of a hoarding thing. But if you have models for a game you genuinely enjoy or really like, or models that you just want to paint, then that's not a waste. And I mean, I've mentioned this before on the channel, where I look at hobbying in the wargaming world much differently than something like playing video games, because I'll do both, but I mean, hobbying in this regard is still arguably more enriching, just because you're kind of creating something. You're creating a real tangible thing that you've done, and it is art, and it's really quite beautiful when you get it done. And so, yeah, work on that. That's not a problem. Let's see, Paul, I fall at flow step 1 of deciding. Yes, you do. You're much more diligent about painting for others, I've noticed, Paul.
Well, and we all are. I mean, I never get to my own stuff. But the moment you or DJ are like, well, we have this, we need this painted, I'm like, okay, well, I'll have it done at this time.
Oh, yeah.
And I always set times for myself, because if you do not set a time, it will not get done in any reasonable time. Mm-hmm. It was like, let's see, Malifaux's Crossroads 7. When that was handed to me, I was told, take as much time as you need. Months later, I finally finished them.
Oh, yeah.
A team of 7 figures, which I could have probably finished in a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, what was other than the discipline of just not specifically setting a time, like, did you just think, oh, I'll get around to it? Or were you like, I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach this, so I'll work on this when I think I have more time?
It became I could be working on that, but I have plenty of time to work on that. I could be working on this instead, which I'd rather be working on.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, even the things that you do not want to work on, you have to set a time to actually finish and work on them. Because if you never set a time for it, it will never get done.
That's so bossy, isn't she? Anyway.
What is it Becky always says? My name's Flo, and I use logic.
Yes. Darn you and your logic. Warbudgies, true, I get more, or Savage Brewski saying, I get more done from needing to shoot a video than for shiggles. I might have taken a full night to finish that decimator last night. Blitzed it in under an hour. Wow. Well, and that's always a thing too for tournaments where people will set up their miniatures and they'll be like, okay, here's my army list. I need to finish this. I need to get it all painted before the tournament tomorrow. And when we'd go and see the armies on parade, it's always a highlight of Adepticon. Like, armies on parade is so beautiful. And when you talk to those guys, all of them, they're like, yeah, we were working on this up until an hour ago and put it out. Like, it's always to the midnight hour. Let's see, finish my projects are organized this way. I have an adult son who is distracted by shiny new stuff. Hey, Dad, let's try this game. Fair enough. Alexis, step 1, overhype yourself. That can help.
I mean, I do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there and you're like, you got this. Yeah, you got this, no problem, you're almost there. And then in reality, you're like, I've made a line.
Well, that's where you can even take a different approach there, right? So depending on what miniatures you're actually working on, if you feel like no motivation, no creative bone really to work on it, then work on infantry. Work on rank and file, like something.
That is exactly the stuff that I have trouble working on.
Well, but
so
it's
the opposite for me. I'm like, okay, well, I want to work on this, so I better finish 5 of these so I can work on that.
Delayed gratification. It's effective, I tell ya. Let's see. So, like my Robot Legions project, this is Patrick. I started with my 500-point list, my leader, my chafe, and 2 special squads. Nice. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like for my 40K, I've got 500 points now, fully painted. Well, enough. Like, I don't know when my Lehman Russ is going to be fully finished, but it looks really good. And so I don't care. Like, I'm fine with it, but yeah. And then you just expand from there, and you're like, how about a Valkyrie? How about another squad? Oh, how about some more Bulgrins?
This might work better. Let's work on this now.
Yeah, well, there is certainly that too, because the balancing act with a tabletop, especially a war game, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is, you'll have your army that you start with, but, as the game evolves or as you develop your own play style, you really start to learn about what other troops and what other models you need to add to that list. And you really need to build out and work that way.
That list.
Yeah, to make it play the way you want it to play. And so it's not even just a matter of, oh, shiny, or, oh, I should have X things. It's like, what does your list look like? That's a very practical way to approach it. But that's usually how my stuff gets painted. Andrew, every January I inventory my collection. It takes a month, but I've yet to buy something I've never wanted. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Well, there's just, even if it's a faction or something you don't play, there's just so many cool looking miniatures. Like, I still remember when I got the new Barnabas. Yeah. And that model is just so awesome looking. It's like, I don't even play Gatorman, but this guy looks cool. Like, I just loved it. Specific, manageable, accurate, realistic, timely. Smart. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate the clarification. But yes, it is right. And it sounds super corporate-y and goofy, but it's because it's like that basic advice that you know in your brain, but you don't really know it like in your heart. Like, you haven't internalized it properly. You're like, I know what I'm supposed to do. is there any other way to get around my goals without doing the thing I know I'm supposed to do? And it's like, well, no. you just need to do the thing. Do the thing. Let's see. That is a really good idea, inventorying. I don't even... That would be actually interesting to inventory, like our stuff. That would help a lot.
You probably should, considering all the stuff you have that you don't know you have.
This is true. We have space now, so we should just make a thing. Make a point to do that. Patrick, I have a hard time with sub-assemblies. I don't think I've ever finished painting anything I decided to paint in pieces. Also, I'm a monster because I finish a whole model at a time instead of batches. Well, that's not a monster. It's fine.
I mean, some armies are just individual models anyway, so...
Some, but I mean,
Technically, all armies are individual models.
Well, like Malifaux, they're all going to be their own look, their own pose.
Mandragora, if not knowing what paint pattern for horses was why my sisterhood army came to a stop. Choice paralysis has led to them sitting on my shelf for at least 2 years. All right, well, that's a good question. How do you handle choice paralysis?
Some use coins, others use dice.
I mean, yeah, it...
So sometimes you don't know,
Some use
you
a
aren't...
blackboard.
Sometimes you aren't recognizing what it is you really want. Like, think of the stereotypical, like, girlfriend situation where she's like, I don't care where we eat. And then you're like, how about X? And she's like, ugh, no. So if you just literally make a decision of like, I don't know what horse design, we're going to do a bay here, and you go, ugh, no. You know you don't want that one.
Yeah, I mean, I do that. I'd be like, okay, if DJ and I can't figure out where we want to eat, I'm like, okay, well, what do you not want to eat right now? Like, what
Well, half the
does
time
not sound
but
good
if you
to
just ask that question, half the time they don't come up with an actual answer either. You would literally have to put the fire under them by saying, we're going to go here. Then they have to actually respond specifically to that. Because otherwise there's this unknown, ambiguous area you can live in, and you can trick yourself into staying there too, where you're like, I don't know what I'm really going to do. There's so many possibilities, but there really aren't as many possibilities as you think there are, as you've convinced yourself there are. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a preference you have.
If you have choice paralysis as far as colors, I recommend picking up coloring books.
Like just regular coloring books?
Because then you'll actually have time to experiment with different colors and see what colors work together. What colors do you prefer? I mean, because...
Do you use like your model paints on the coloring book?
I don't, but I actually have a very extensive amount of colored pencils that I use.
Real artist here, so...
But I've been coloring, like, my entire life. I've always loved to color, and it's helped me so much when it's come to doing any other art project, because I can tell what colors are going to work together, or if you have too much of one type of color, whether it's going to overwhelm another one, you know. And I've gotten crazy with colors, like really crazy with colors, but I can still make them cohesive because I've had time practicing with them.
Okay. That does make some good sense.
I mean, you know, not everybody wants to do that, but I mean, if you're looking to just improve your ability to throw colors together cohesively, coloring books are a good way to go because they're fairly inexpensive.
And there's also, and this can be good and bad, but like scrolling Instagram or scrolling images of models and seeing how other people have painted them.
Yeah.
For inspiration.
Reference pictures.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
references are very important.
Well, they can be very helpful, but they can also aid in choice paralysis too, just because you'll be like, oh, I really like that one, and I really like that one, and I really like that one.
Well, what do you like about it?
Okay, yeah, so you need to get more detailed and examine what it is you like.
Or you can just run out the clock with it. Where like you get to the end of the night and you're like, all I've done is collect photos. All right, good night.
Well, but then you haven't gotten anything done.
Yep.
More budgies. It's funny we hit this topic. I've just gotten into this first backlog model a week for 50 weeks thing. I know. Patrick, contrast paints dry super quickly, so there's not a lot of waiting for washes and whatnot to dry and switching models. It's pretty nice. J. Alex, not breaking promises to myself is why I'm neck deep in receipt scanning tonight. But then you won't be tomorrow. Kaio, I painted the desert hydra. Ooh. I guess subassembly made it manageable. I'd turn crazy if it didn't, I guess. Yeah, the Old Witch 2 is a subassembly too. Like, there's just some that you can't quite get around. Just don't do it very often.
But the Desert Hydra is a super cool model.
It is a gorgeous model. Yeah. Hey, Austin, welcome to the chat. Oh, Martin, I remember how many horses I had to paint when I played Bretonia back in my Warhammer Fantasy days. Oh, Lord. The Bretonians always did look awesome. The edition changed before we ever ended up picking anything up for them. War Budgies, Miranda, did you manage to shoot my Warcaster dudes down with like a 10-minute demo under your belt? Did you manage to shoot my Warcaster dudes down? Oh, I did manage to. I just am a very aggressive player with amazing beginner's luck. And then usually it's like my second game where I just like fall immediately on my face. But, you know, I look really cool in the beginning. Mandragora. Oh no, I'm almost 40. I'm level capped. I get older, but I'm not going to gain experience. Whatever. Norna, I just let all my friends use my armies, and I overdo it too much. Yeah, I mean, that's just the remember who the hobby's for, darling. As long as you're enjoying it. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody how to enjoy the game. And if you mostly enjoy it from just talking about the games or playing them or watching other people play with stuff you've painted, like, that's fine. Just as long as it's honest and you don't feel resentment and being left out on things because you feel like you're getting so put out for your friends. Like, that's, as long as it's not that, then you do you. Let's see. Revik, how many armies/games do you ladies have? How many projects in progress?
Do you have all night?
Well, let's start with you.
Okay, so for DJ in particular,
yeah,
he currently has a 500-point list for Tau and for Necrons. He has a 500-point list he is putting together for his Tyranids, and he wanted to make the Canis first and only set that he wanted to do. So those are all things for 40K that he's got lists basically put together for.
Okay.
And he's putting models together for me to finish.
All right.
I am interested in putting together a Harlequin army.
A Harlequin army for 40K, yeah.
But I don't own any models, and since, they did really well at Adepticon, I'm probably not going to find any models for another month. So, and since there are already armies put together, and I have paint schemes for a lot of these other ones, I'm just working on those first.
Yeah.
However, as far as my projects go outside of that, I also play Malifaux, which I have 3 different armies put together for that are not painted. And I've got several board games that have a surplus of miniatures that I have want to put together and paint because they would look really good on the table. We could get videos of them, but they are currently taking a back seat because we are working on 40K 500-point combat lists.
Is Cthulhu Wars one of those?
Cthulhu Wars is one of those.
Oh yeah, we've played a few games of that. It's really fun.
Cthulhu Wars. We just got a huge shipment of Nemesis and Nemesis Lockdown, and the models for that are actually really cool looking. A lot of alien models, things that I don't normally work with, but I am totally down to paint. But there's a lot of them, and I would have to figure out what we would be interested in playing with first, and how things play, if it's even feasible. I've got over 100, at least 200 different models for Zombicide.
Yes, and then you just recently got that Nemesis Kickstarter in.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was reading the thing. People were complimenting your Tau.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, not your Tau, but
yeah,
your work on
DJ's Tau. But yeah, like,
So yeah, and so they're categorized, right? There's like the war game miniatures, 40K and Malifaux, and we also have Song, Ice, and Fire.
yes, there's another set. Like, I have 3 different armies for that to paint right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's a lot of miniatures for that game.
And then the board games have an enormous miniature range. So
Yeah, all of my Fantasy Flight games, I've got all of the investigators and monsters for Mansions of Madness and Arkham Horror and all of those to paint. Yeah. My list of things that I could be working on is extensive. But I've got 2 armies with lists put together in front of me that I can work on right now, so that is what I'm working on.
yeah. And it's good that you've got it organized such that as long as you have your paints nearby, you could sit down and just work on them if you found yourself having like an hour of time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically.
Because they're at the point where you could just start working on them. The big thing is trying to get enough prep work out of the way so that when you do have moments of time, you can actually start pushing progress again. Because there's always going to be some aspect of it, like priming it, where you really just need to be in a specific place. The weather kind of has to be at a specific point in order to get through that. So, and it holds up progress if you don't.
I mean, for me, I'm not actually priming or assembling any of these models.
Yeah, so that's safe.
Like, my board game stuff all comes pre-assembled. So I might clean them up a bit, but that's about it. DJ is actually the one who does all of the assembly. He prints out new models. He primes all the models. And sometimes I feel like I need to kick his butt to get him to prime them. But that's... Sometimes he probably gets frustrated with the fact that I'm not painting certain things. You know, that's always going to be a thing. But it is the team of the 2 of us working together that's actually getting things out the door at this point.
Right. That does help. Nathaniel's got it. The magic triangle of hobbying: time, socializing, life. And one pulls on more. There's usually one that's pulling at any given time. Patrick, the way you can break stuff down in Wormhordes. Yeah, army building in Wormhordes is preferable in my view to 40K, but like I do not really enjoy the list building in 40K very much. I really just want to build like a list and then never change it once I get like the list I finally want. Horizontal surfaces have a knack for collecting things. Yeah, someone mentioned earlier, like clean your table. That's so much harder than you'd think. J. Alex, Miranda, I'm really just trying to help my buddy Joe to get more views on his channel. Oh, I know, it's fine. Plunder Den, I've been spending the last 2 years building the Plunder Den for others to enjoy. I'm going to run tournaments, demos, and crafting classes to help others. Well, as long as that's the part that you also enjoy. Just remember, if you're ever at the point where you really are feeling like you are putting yourself out, any type of martyrdom that you feel like you're getting in that, if that is the case, then you're not doing it right. So do make sure that you balance it, because you are a person too. Gotta treat yourself like one. Alec, it is funny. I use a hobby table, but the kids love to use it, and then it slowly gets cluttered, and they seem to be prioritizing playing over painting or kit bashing projects. Well, and that's the other thing, right? Like, it's a hobby, and you're supposed to be enjoying it and enjoying aspects of it that you want. So if you feel like playing more sometimes, then do it, because that's gonna vary. You're gonna have moments where you're gonna feel more like painting and hobbying, and I don't know, just do both.
I'm going to say, yeah, because if you're not playing any of the things, you know, sometimes it can start to feel just like work.
Yeah.
Take the time to enjoy what you're working on.
Paul Greer, hello, Wargamer Girl. Have you talked to Dan the Orc Man? Yeah, I message him every so often. Let's see, to check on how he's doing.
Who is Dan?
I know. He was at Valhalla last year, so we got to beat him up in a Life of a Wargamer episode that was another project that actually still needs to get finished. Let's see, calling a project
I got
good
to
enough
beat
is
him
the
up by
secret
making him
sauce to being
dance. It
happy.
was great.
What?
I got to beat him up by making him dance. It was great.
Dan and Aaron both
And Aaron,
danced
yes.
with you guys, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
right. So we do Dance Fit, and so it's like more intense than it sounds, right? Like you just think aerobic dancing. And so everyone underestimates it, which is hilarious, because then people are like, well, shit, I'll try it. Like, sure. And like halfway through, they're like, I'm going to die.
Didn't Tyler try it?
Yeah, he tried it for a hot minute. Let's see, I know a guy that I believe pays someone for either painted minis or to have his minis painted. Which, whatever.
I mean, if you've got the money to do that, then sure.
Yeah,
Why
because there's a
not?
whole cottage industry for that. Like, that's fine.
I mean, people have paid me to work on their stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Like,
like, you do that. So, Patrick,
By the way, anyone who wants that, reach out to the Painter Flow.
that's right.
Yes.
There are times when I consider selling a whole bunch of stuff just to cut down, but then I figure if I hoard the stuff, then I can gift them to the boys, so I complete my goal of 3D printing my own group. Maybe.
No,
Your kids
the trick
never
with
turn
that-
out the way you want.
Yes.
Expect this, I should say.
You know, sometimes they don't end up being interested in the same things you are, and then that plan would fail.
Alexis mentioned other people's armies are easier to paint somehow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, by far.
What is that? Can you define why that might be?
So when people want you to paint armies for them, they usually have an idea in mind of what they want you to do. Whether it be a color scheme, if they want you to match the box, if, you know.
Like
they
they've
always
already
have-
made the decision.
They make a lot of the decisions for you.
Okay.
Whereas if you're painting for yourself, number one, you always want to help other people first. So, you know, getting to your own stuff is hard enough.
Speak
But when
for
you
yourself.
finally
No, I'm kidding.
when you finally get to your own stuff, you're like, okay, well, what do I want to do with this? And there's so many options out there. You don't have to follow the norm.
Right.
And you know me, I don't like to follow the norm. Not with my own stuff. So just the possibilities become so much wider that it becomes more of a choice paralysis for yourself. And so every little decision affects what you're going to do. You always want to do something more with your own things because they are more precious to you.
Okay.
These are
Whereas
things
if
that
you don't
are
have
going-
as much of an attachment necessarily
Yeah.
to the army that's going to go back. But I mean,
Yes, I'm still going to make them look great because
Yeah.
that's just what I do. Then, like, I can't send back something
She's
where I feel it's
professional.
unfinished.
yeah.
You know, unfinished, unpolished work is not something that I want to put out.
Right.
So I'm always going to hit that certain level. But when it's my own stuff, it has to have that personalized feel for me because that's what I'm going to be playing with. That's what I'm going to have around all the time.
God, you're making me feel like I'm just a sociopath about my models.
I mean, you kind of are.
Because I'm just like, good enough. All right, can I fight with them now?
But you're not doing it to make your models look pretty in particular. I mean, it's nice to have them look nice on the table, but you're
Yeah,
doing
it
it so you
is.
can play.
It is genuinely nice to have. Like, I absolutely appreciate it. I do think there's true artistry in it. It's just like, whatever, it's not in me to get to that point myself.
So for me, I enjoy playing the game, but because I'm an artist, it means so much more to me to have very nice, polished looking models in my taste, my style.
I'm so glad she's painting my stuff. It's just like the best of both worlds, really.
You're like, just do your quality, and here's what I want.
You do you. It's great. Well, so as far as painting other people's armies, you'd mentioned because they've made a lot of decisions. What if they give you an army and they're like, I trust you, do what you want? Is that a lot harder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because there's a certain
Because it
amount
was
of
that
choice.
same thing, the Crossroad 7.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, take as much time as you need, make them look nice. And I actually did like the way those turned out, even
yeah.
though they got stolen like a week later.
Well, Albuquerque.
But the Crossroad 7, I ended up doing a whole motif where, you know, each one had bits of its own sin on the base with it, and then they all
Right.
had sayings along the side of the base. And I went farther with those than I would have if someone had been like, I want them to look like the thing.
Yeah.
Because I had the freedom to do it.
But then it was also 3 months? 3 months, yeah.
Probably around
like
3
that.
months. I can't say for sure anymore.
It's been a
few
while,
years.
yeah.
It took a while.
Nathaniel, when I do commission, I calculate the time I need for each step with a factor of 1.5 plus a buffer of 2 weeks for emergency. I quote more time, but usually finish way before the deadline. Oh yeah, you always want to over-deliver if you can. Like undersell, over-deliver.
You're
kind of
much
thing.
better about that than me. Miranda handed me a full box of the Grimkin, and I was like, I'll have it done. And what time did I give you?
I don't remember.
Like a month, and I had it done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously very happy with it, but I don't remember the actual conversation.
I always give myself a limited amount of time because it will get me to focus in on that one thing. Because if I give myself extra time, then I will take that extra time. It's just that thing where you push it to the last second. And if you don't give yourself that last second to push it to, you're just always working on it.
Mandragora, oof, you reminded me of the worst part, purging from your collection. I have $500 worth of toys and minis I should get rid of to subsidize stuff I want, but can't sell. Getting rid of it is work. It is. It is. Makes me so sad when I see so many War Machine models on the secondary market like that. And, you know, especially if you're looking at older models where you have to ship metal, and it's not like shipping's gotten any cheaper. And so, and then you have to worry about breakage, and yeah, it ends up being, everything's a pain in the butt, right? Every single step, even getting rid of something can be a pain in the butt. So, it is what it is, man. Paul, thinking about it, I think I've only ever gifted painted minis to Miranda. I do make more of an effort to and focus as it's for someone else. Oh yeah, and like Paul's a really good painter when he just sits down and finishes it. Like the models he sent me are beautiful.
It's just, you know, it's easier to focus on somebody else's stuff than it is to focus on your own.
Oh, okay. So Alexa says the worst part of painting for me is I get super sleepy painting.
Oh.
Do you not get sleepy painting other people's models though? Like,
I mean, she probably does.
But you just persevere through it.
I mean, do you get sleepy during work? Yeah, but you usually don't sleep during it.
Kind of. I don't know. I'm really good at
You can take a
tasks
nap
I
in
don't like.
between, yeah, but
Usually. Let's see, Rebek, have you ever used a wall planner or big diary to organize each project? This is just one of the boring old scheduling tools that I use on my job that might work for you here.
not for minis, but I certainly have one for working out.
Yes, that's true.
You know that one.
Yeah, you've made this really, she made a whole laminated calendar for each month, and she writes out the dates every month, and then she has all the things
so people
limited.
can look at the progress so far.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been very little.
Your stream froze.
Oh, did it?
Looks like it's back.
Okay, it should catch up.
It's trying. There we go.
Good times. Let's see. So it could be a really good idea, but even before I could do that, I'd really need to inventory my stuff.
Inventory and figure out your priorities.
Let's see.
Prioritizing is really difficult.
Prioritizing is hard, especially when there are constantly time deadlines that are always jumping up in my experience. Like,
Well,
for what we
especially
do.
for you because you run, your channel, and so there are certain things that you need to get done, or that you need to get done for Valhalla, or that you need to get done
My poor
for
neglected channel. Yeah,
the
yeah.
convention you're going to. You have things that you have to get done
Yeah.
when the things come up, and so you have to reanalyze your priorities fairly consistently.
Well, and there was always the very sobering look of how many hours I actually have in a given day to work on the stuff that I really want to be working on, and that's always kind of sad. And then, of course, I'm just a sucker for going to the movies, and so we'll still go to the movies like once or twice a week, of which there are some really cool movies to see this year. Let's see, Paul, I never get sleepy, just frustrated when toward the end I can't see what to do next, so I need a break. Yeah, I mean, just taking a walk or something is super
I'm very
helpful.
bad at not.
At taking breaks.
Well, so I had to set this over here in particular because I'm having more of an active conversation. So focusing on that, it slowed everything down quite a lot.
Sorry,
So
did
if
you?
No, it's fine. I like
I'm
that
not
it's something
actually
I can
sorry.
actually partake in.
Yes.
But when I'm sitting and I'm focusing on a painting, there's very little else that I'm doing. I could have something on in the background, but it has to be something that I've listened to or that I've seen
Yeah,
a
yeah,
million
something
times
that's not
that I'm
novel.
not distracted
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
But I just sit there and I paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I paint. And I paint until I'm either too sore,
Yeah.
I have to get up, or there have been many times where I've painted until the point where my eyes just won't function anymore. They have gotten so tired that my vision is blurring.
Like it won't refocus. Oh,
Yes, and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, well now I have to stop.
Yeah.
There's no other thing I can do.
Get reminded that you are in fact a biological being.
So, not everybody's like me. Not everybody has that insane amount of focus. I understand that. It's just, that's what happens to me, is that it's just, that is it.
That's good. I mean, that doesn't seem like
By
a
the
bad
way,
quality.
have you put up any of the little Necron guys with their faces painted?
I have not.
Oh yeah, you should
do
totally
that.
put those
guys
on.
look super cool.
Nicholas, in choosing which miniatures to paint, I often go with the oldest ones first. My thinking is that I have to paint them before I get to the hot new miniatures that I really want to paint. That's the incentive. Okay. fair
Again,
enough.
that's, rewarding yourself.
Right, and you've got to, like, in a way, all advice is appropriate to somebody, but you've really got to figure out what advice
What
is
works
actually
for you.
applicable to you. And that's where you come down to, like, you're an individual, someone will give you advice of something that works amazing for them, but might not be the same motivation for you. Or it'll be a similar motivation for you.
Totally.
Yeah, I was just getting a whiff of that. Whew.
I needed a little bit more time to air out, I think.
All right.
What is that?
The
The glue?
paint, primer.
It's the primer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the
'cause these
primer.
guys, oof.
Yeah, these 3 are new, so.
Mandragora, amazingly helpful, but then I hit another area. I have horses for all the minions, but not the heroine. I'm thinking, what if I decide I prefer that for leader? It's theming, not skill practice. That's definitely a bit of a challenge there, my friend. Mr. Bins and Bricks, I find it better to paint for 15 minutes a day versus trying to paint for long stretches and getting tired. Yeah, and that's exactly something that just falls down like the temperamental line of somebody, of the individual, right?
Yeah,
if
because I can't do one of those like 15
Yeah.
minutes a day. I have 15 minutes now. Let's sit down and do this. Because my mind is too busy with other things. It's
Yeah, you need.
I
What
had
do you
a-
think is the minimum for you?
2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. So like even painting here for like 90 minutes is a little short.
That's why I start painting before the stream does.
This is true, she does.
My print just finished. Congrats, Patrick. Andrew, Flo always struck me as a power gamer. Oh, if you see her play board games, she's aggressive. She'll break you in half. It's hilarious. Like, I
Why
love
does
it.
everybody think I'm so aggressive?
Because you are. You're like, And she's super nice about it, right? Because she's actually read the rules when no one else has. And so she'll come in and she'll play and be like, well, I'm just going to do this, this, and this. And now I'm like way ahead. Okay, your turn. And it's like...
What's
everyone
funny
just-
is that
she's really
like, at
genuinely
least
good
like
at 'em.
half the time, I lose these games.
No one
So
remembers
for
that
whatever,
part.
For whatever
just
reason,
remember
the
when they
only
lose.
times they remember are the ones that I win.
Yes.
And
I
it's
think-
not by choice that I'm the only one who ever reads the rules.
No, I know. Well, I mean, usually if I show up, I have no idea that you guys are playing a game of whatever game it is. But yes, I
Well, that's
understand what you're
because
saying.
nobody chooses games beforehand.
That's also true.
People walk in, they walk into the room full of games, and they're like, I don't know, maybe this one today.
Austin, does anyone else find the need to clean up their workspace after completing a project?
I need to do that, but I don't.
I actually do enjoy like cleaning up the space and getting, if I can get to that point, like leaving something hanging bothers me a lot more than like just putting it away.
I feel the need to keep out all of the paints that I am using for that particular project, so that way I can keep coming back to them.
Oh yeah.
Me and my shoebox go everywhere together.
Flow in a little shoebox.
Yes, I have a...
You have to use someone else's shoebox though, because if you used shoes that fit you, you wouldn't have enough room.
That's one of my shoeboxes.
I'm just saying she has tiny feet.
I do.
Alright, put your Necrons on.
I just put in my pod on.
Let's see. Malifaux has gorgeous minis. I want to try it someday. Yeah, I actually want to try 3rd edition, which I mean, I'm
I
gonna.
haven't had the chance to try out 3rd edition yet, but
I've been meaning to ask what factions in Malifaux Flo plays. I'm Resurrectionists and Explorers myself.
I am a Resurrectionists and 10 Thunders.
Okay, Resurrectionists and 10 Thunders. Okay. Oh, Melinda says we have Nemesis. Man, that game is punishing.
I'm kind of looking forward to it then, because I like playing games that are really difficult, and yeah.
Oh, you'll get into War Machine.
Yeah, you'll be great at it.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the times I like to play a game, even if I'm bad at it, because I like the experience of getting better.
Yeah.
But sometimes I play against people, and even though they say I'm one of these people, I swear I'm not, where they play to the point where you just feel totally defeated and you don't feel like you can play anymore.
Oh, yeah, War Machine does that a lot too. Ow,
So
my
that's
face.
the problem, is like finding the correct group to play with. Because
Yeah.
if they're just
Oh man,
doing
the
it
meta.
to make fun and like punish you in a way for not knowing, then yeah, it's not fun.
Right. No, the meta makes or breaks a game, especially in the wargaming community. Like, community is so incredibly important for keeping a game alive. I think it's part of why board games end up having the popularity they do, because you can usually go through more people with them, right? It's compartmentalized. It's all in one package together.
Well, you don't have to buy several boxes for one thing. Is it focused on the Necrons?
I don't know what the heck it's doing. Let's see if I can get it to...
It's searching.
Right?
But it will focus on them, and then...
I just need to get it to focus and then lock it. I think that's right.
That looks pretty good to me.
All right.
All right, so obviously these are not finished, but their bases are finished, which is something that's almost never seen for DJ's models.
Bases do look amazing. And that's always a shortcut that I've admittedly taken heavy advantage of, because as we talked about before the stream, a base-coated model with a finished base looks way more painted than a fully painted beautiful model with an unpainted base. It's such a crazy difference. War Budgie's heading out for the night. Night, man. Thanks for popping in.
Bye.
We only got a few minutes left here. Kenneth, hello everyone. What did I miss? A few things. Well, welcome to the chat. Oh my gosh, I
It was
hate
the
it.
greatest stream.
It was
that
the
we've ever
greatest
done.
stream.
You missed it.
There you go.
I mean, I
Andrea.
actually talked. It's weird.
So what is chat working on? Hopefully you're repeating your sins against our creator Minoff. Excellent, Andrew. Maybe I should just print out pictures of amazing painted minis, glue them to wooden blocks, and play. Let's see. I should have done that decades ago. It would have saved me so much time and money. Let's see. Hey, folks, getting here late. Hey, Sam. Appreciate you popping in. I agree. Jean Steeler Purple goes with anything. Oh, don't listen to Paul. Alec, it was great to catch one of these live, but I'm off to catch a few hours of sleep. Good luck with the rest of the stream. Night, man. Mr. Bins and Bricks working on my 4th Arena Rex Force now. Oh, I played Arena Rex with Aaron at Valhalla. It was fun. It's like a fun arena game. Kind of like Aristea. I really enjoyed Aristea too. Really enjoying the variety of the line and individuality I'm able to put into each model. Loving skirmish games lately. Well, it's like that approachable thing. J. Alex, Miranda asked Flo if she'd like some help painting through her formidable backlog. Well, if you're doing it for other people, they commissioned you, right?
Yeah, a lot of my stuff is commissioned.
Yeah. So.
And I'm particularly picky about my board game ones because I'm like, those are the ones I want to paint.
So, appreciate the thought. Just
do.
come over and play games. It's fine. Let's see. Never had a commission where the customer said, do what you want. They always say, you can do whatever, but I want it like this. Points to box art. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, usually when it's a commission, it's a lot easier because they're just like, hey, do this. And you're like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah,
I'll
like
do
you
that.
just make those decisions more professionally, I guess. Let's see. Andrew, never fall asleep while painting. I'm usually drinking, so technically it's blacking out. Oh, God, Andrew. Alexis, when I paint others' models, it depends on the models. Like, if it's Marines, I hate them. They're boring. But AOS models are fun AF.
I feel
Space
this.
Marines.
I feel this.
The AOS models are beautiful. Like, I really do love the Alliance of Death. It's just gorgeous. I once started snoring while painting. I was very much awake. Well, that's just like looking down, probably, right? Plunderden, I have been very lucky in life, so helping others is my jam. Well, that's awesome, Plunderden. I'm really glad. Alexis' advice for the night: gaslight yourself until you finish painting. I feel like she just needs to make a video, like, talking about all this amazing painting advice. Oh, sure, blame the models. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Always blame others. when
Sometimes
possible.
it is the model, though. Let's be honest here.
Oh, yeah, there are a few models where it lacks detail and it's up to you to fill in that detail, and that's awkward.
Well, and then even for me, like painting these Necron warriors, it's just a lot of the same again and again. And even though there is detail to it, you just kind of get bored of looking at them.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
The
Like-
curse of rank and file.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's why I like my Catachan, though, because, like, you came in, you put these awesome little tattoos, and you individualize them, even though they're still rank and file. And they're just so cool, like cute little manly mans. That's how they like to be referred to.
The manly man.
No,
The man.
cute little manly mans.
Cute little manly mans. Well, excuse
Obviously.
me.
Oh, Mikey V, I totally understand. Let's see, Patrick, I'm back. There's a couple of oddities with your print. Paul, I paint my bases plain color except my Chaos Iron Warriors who have the Industrial Necromunda bases on. Nice. Harry, hello all. I'm watching this from the hospital bed. Ooh, I hope you're home soon. Oh man, I hope you're home soon too. Being in the hospital is no fun. Well, we all wish you well.
Here's some entertainment.
Hopefully. Our very different approaches to project management. Watch Dumb Truck of Projects dump on you. You create a planner and organize everything in this beautiful fashion.
No, but then when the inspiration hits you, it's like you're standing there on a beach and like a tidal wave comes and you just watch it and you're like,
You know it's gonna happen, and you let it happen.
well, it hits you and then you're just drowning in it because you don't know what to work on. And you're like, but I don't have the stuff.
Harry, thanks all on the mend. Hope to be home soon. Well, good. Are you not entertained? Yes, Mike. Miranda's type must be burly boys in sleeveless shirts for my minis, yeah? I don't know. I just want anything that has moxie to it. Like the toughest girls in the galaxy models are super cool. All the big stumpy robots in War Machine are super cool.
The character models. And,
Character models.
Dust were cool.
Yeah, that's true. Dust had just so much moxie to it. Oozed with moxie. Like, gorgeous, gorgeous models.
So we know what Miranda's type is.
Just sassy. Just whatever sassy is me.
If it looks like it might rip you apart and eat you, then I will probably play it.
Yes, you like hordes of things, swarms of things. Girls like swarms of things, right?
I didn't say swarm.
No, I know. It's just a Scott Pilgrim reference, I think. No. Futurama. Yeah.
We went to go buy a bunch of
Yeah,
lizards
it was like for Valentine's, right?
Yeah.
No,
I love Futurama.
I like horror.
And so you're picking Harlequins.
Todd, my type
Yeah,
is
but,
skeletons.
like-
Skeletons are super fun.
Harlequins are really cool looking. They have like the death look though with their
Well, the
face
death
masks.
jesters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they do seem like your type. They can be quite terrifying in close combat. Andrew, this tip
Also,
is genius.
close combat. That's type my thing.
Yeah, that's very true. Use one project as a reason you are procrastinating one of the other one, then table the turns. Huh.
Then the table turns.
I guess so. Jeremy, after messing around with 4 to 5 different files, slicing them and saving them, it seems that it may be my thumb drive that's messed up. Yeah, I noticed that you'll have to change those out every so often. Even for the resin printers, I know DJ was having issues with one of the
Yeah,
thumb drives.
probably. Like
Is
that's
what
the
it
one
is.
that he ended up accidentally dropping stuff on and breaking. So
Yeah,
Wait.
you also have to replace your thumb drive when you do that too.
well, it was the build plate wasn't even. It wouldn't even out for him, and he kept trying to like work with it, and he like dropped his wrench or something on it.
Brian Hess, my type are Sisters of Battle, Intolerant, Homicidal Female Pyromaniacs. I even married one. Oh my god. Well, congratulations, Brian. May you live long enough. I guess we'll end on that note. It's actually after 8 now, so we're gonna bail here. But thank you guys for the super lively conversation. Before the hospital, I was kit bashing Spacefold for a paint challenge. Oh yeah. Kit bashing is also pretty fun. You can get creative with that. I have enjoyed
I have
some of that
actually
stuff,
never
yeah.
done any of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, maybe one of these days when we organize all the minis I have, we can figure out the whole bit spin situation too. So have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's live stream and for offering all of the good advice and tips on how to manage kind of the overwhelming projects. And I don't know, I guess just a basic amount of venting. I didn't even get a chance to talk about movies tonight. That's how busy we were. So thank you, and I will see you again in 2 weeks.
Tell me to watch J. Alex.
Oh yeah, and go check out. Oh gosh, remind me, J. Alex. It's off Offset?
Offset.
Offset is the name of the web series, and you're looking for the X-Terminator. Check out just a fun web series that's actually done locally here in Albuquerque. So give that a watch, and we'll see you guys in a while. Have a great night.